All right, guys, welcome to week 6. Hopefully, you're watching some of these. If you're not, well, I'm just trying to give you the overview of the week so you can have a better idea of what's going on. And this is going to be a kind of a fun week. To me, talking about laws is actually kind of fun. And here's the reason why. Because when you're talking about laws, you're talking about everyday life kind of stuff. Why do you have to go to school? Why do you have to follow the speed limit? Why do you have to do certain things at home, because of your age or because of this or that? Why do we have age restrictions on things? All of those are part of the law process. And why the consequences? Do we get mad at the enforcer of those consequences as far as the law? And should we get mad at the lawmakers instead of the people that are enforcing the law aspects? I mean, is that their fault? All of that stuff comes into play on this. And it really is a big deal, especially in our day and age when we talk about, dealing with police forces and excessive use of force, and whether or not those laws that they're using as part of that idea are biased, are skewed towards the majority of a group and not the minority, and how that all works, and how do you change the laws? All of those are part of this process that's really fascinating, and really looks into the aspect of, should we have laws in society? How does a society function without laws? All of those things are pretty interesting, at least to me. So today you have a test over Unit 2, just kind of get that done with, out of the way with. As I said, you have one essay type question, so please make sure that you put your own words in that. Now you can use your ideas here with your notes and presentations. I give those to you right there. So make sure you do your best on those. And again, don't put anything that's not in your own words, but you should do well on it. And then of course, please take the attendance assignment. This is just, hey, yeah, I did it. Just gives you 5 extra points. Okay. Now on Tuesday, we are going to be discussing Unit 3 and the development of laws and the concept of rule of law. It's kind of an ambiguous out there concept of, what does rule of law mean? Well, we'll talk a little bit more about it in class. And you see there's a lot of video stuff on there, and website stuff. And we'll get into that, because what I'm hoping you do is maybe open up some of these. We won't do them all in class, but if it's something of interest to you, I really want you to dig in a little deeper on this. And now your attendance assignment is where we are starting to really get into the nitty gritty, and this one is really in depth. All right, so this What is Law Judicial Learning Center website is a great a website that talks about the 5 rules of law, common law versus statutory law, laws over time, and what happens when we have laws like cyberbullying, right? So the laws have had to be updated, how that all works. All right, so you're going to read the questions below and provide at least 3 or choose at least 3 of them. All right, there's a lot of questions here, and 3 of them, and what I really want you to do, and matter of fact, even if you have another one that you want to add to the equation, that's fine. If you've always wondered, well, why does I have to do this and that, and why is there's age restrictions of laws? All of that is part of this. Okay. So I want you to delve into at least 3 of these questions, and when you do a reasoned response, I want you to think about, all right, what's my response? What is some research surrounding this topic, and are there other people that have a different opinion of it? And what are some, examples that I can use to really kind of drive home my perception about this particular idea? All right, so now we have Wednesday is dealing with more development types of law, but we're going to be focusing on the type of law, because there's really quite a few different types of law and how that all means. Now next week we're going to be actually talking about court trials and how that goes about, but for this one we talk about that. But I also want to put in, we're going to start thinking through some of the Supreme Court cases that have really impacted our country. And for today, we're going to be talking about the death penalty. And in Georgia, they actually had two court cases that talked about the death penalty in Georgia, and one was a moratorium, meaning that they stopped the death penalty because they somebody sued and said, "Hey, I shouldn't be killed for this, reason, or maybe I was guilty, but I shouldn't have a fear of being in pain, being killed the same way that I killed somebody else," all that kind of stuff. And then just a few years later, there was basically, "Hey, we're going to allow this to happen because it's gone through the system again." Both of these are from Georgia as well. And then you have a review activity. Now, this is a notes review. I want to pull this up because this right here is simply an aspect of you're going to only do the sections that I want you to do. So you're going to do functions and purpose of the law, the development of the law, and U.S. law and types, and then dealing with jurisdiction. All right. So I don't want you to do how laws are made. We'll do that next week. But this is kind of the start of this one. So your actual attendance assignment is, hey, have you started it? Okay. And then we're also going to do a key terms review because we've got some GIM kits. Now I want to bring this out for you because I want you to know that the Bill of Rights and the amendments actually come a part of this, because these rights, these amendments are actually technically laws that give you rights and allow the Supreme Court to say, based on this particular idea of the Constitution, this is the right for this person to do this or that. All right, so we'll delve into the amendments a little bit next week as well. And then there's a Supreme Court and NC Court decisions quiz, really important. And then these are also the GIM kits from that as well. So I just wanted to bring that out because we'll be doing that. And then on Thursday, we're going to be focusing on the actual making of the law. We won't talk about enforcing or interpreting and influencing until later on next week. But we're going to be talking about making the law, how that works. And then we've got a couple of court cases, or actually one court case, but dealing with Plessy versus Ferguson. Hopefully you guys remember that one from American history and the importance of that one. And of course, it was overturned by Brown versus Board of Education, right? So that one, but you need to know what that entailed and how that came about and why such a horrendous decision was made in the idea of a person's rights and individual rights, right? And so this is kind of dealing with, wait a second, this obviously was a right that was restricted. Why, if the Supreme or the Constitution gives rights, why was this person's right or this group of people rights taken away and restricted so much? And the law was used to restrict those. So how does that work, right? And so you're going to use the resources below to complete the attendance assignment. Now this attendance assignment deals with these particular ones, and I want you to open them up, open all the resources up, and choose 5 things that you learned about how law is made, and then actually look at some of the common requested U.S. laws and regulations. I'm going to bring this up because it's kind of an interesting one. These are actually some of the most common ones, and go and read some of the actual laws. Have you ever thought about, what law guides your education? What are some of the acts and the regulations that actually go into some of these things? And a lot of times they say, well, based on this such and such law. We're like, where the heck is that law and what is it based on? So these are actually all the common laws that are considered. And so what you're going to do is you're going to pick 5 things you learned and go in that process. Okay, it's kind of interesting too, the lawmaking process of the NC General Assembly, because they're in assembly now, and they're making some interesting laws, and we'll see how that all goes. All right, so last but not least, we have our Friday thing. Now this is week 6 challenge, and I'm hoping you really get into this one because I'm going to bring up this challenge. So rule of law, we talked about it throughout the week. It's very controversial because interpreted based on individual circumstances, freedom of speech, allowing religious groups to protest at a funeral. And yes, that did happen, Westboro Baptist Church. Matter of fact, if you look at the unpopular views, the case summary talks about that, and basically dealing with homosexuality, and protests at a funeral, and protests at a veteran's funeral, and all that. And again, whether or not you think that that's a horrible thing, which I fully think that's a horrible thing, do they have the right to do that? And some people say no, they don't have a right to do that. But what does that mean for hurt and harm? How all that process goes. Okay. So what about the ability to burn the American flag? What about the ability to post a video that shares a personal view about a controversial topic? Is that legal? And should people be allowed to do so, even if it might be opposing a lot of maybe current thought processes? Do schools have the right to institute a dress code? Do they have the ability to edit materials that you've submitted for a newsletter, or even a video that you've done? Or can we even suspend a student for making comments not even on school ground, but on their personal social media page, whether it's a threat or something that they said about somebody else? Does that, do you not have a right to say what you want to say on your own social media account? And how does the school get involved? All right. So all of those things are about law, and they're very, very fun to discuss and talk about. They get a little emotional because you're talking about things that you feel very passionate about, and this is a good thing. But I just encourage you to kind of keep yourself in check and look at a big 30,000 foot view of some of these, and identify what are the all the sides of this. Okay. So you're going to actually read the overview rule of law. This is actually from the uscourts.gov. You can also look at the Supreme Court landmarks. This one specifically has a lot to deal with students and the educational realm. So that's why I went ahead and gave you that link right there. But these are cases that it kind of gives a brief overview of the case, and then it gives the court decision, and then it gives not only the supporting decision from the Supreme Court justice, but it gives the opposing view, because there's a dissent that a lot of times, if there's a split decision, the Supreme Court will actually give a supporting idea, and then they'll give a dissent. And so it's always fascinating to read the dissent as well, because it's a big part of that. All right, so this is the week, and what you're going to be doing for that is you're going to just really discuss what you research and whether or not you actually agree based on your own thought processes with the court's decision. All right, and it's okay to disagree, but obviously the court, jurors or the justices actually disagreed with a lot of these. There were split decisions. So they had their each unique idea of that. All right, so this is the week, and hopefully you have a good one, and it's fascinating for you, and I hope you do have a good time with it, and delve into it a little bit. All right, do some research and real world, real life type of situations and circumstances, because this is real life civics. Real life, the idea of laws. All right. So I look forward to seeing you this week, and I'll catch you later.